getting back to when you had new clothes, how were household things like laundry taken care of, ironing? I suppose they all had to be ironed.
Yes, I think everything had to be ironed. Uh, we did not have electricity at that time, so my mother had a washing machine that I'm not just sure how it operated. They had to turn a crank of some kind, and then the wringer, I remember, on the back of the washing machine, and everything had to be ironed. My mother was especially particular about her table linen. We always had a white tablecloth and cloth napkins, and they all had to be ironed very carefully.
Was this a sad iron?
Yes, it was heated on the kitchen stove, which was usually fired by wood, except in the winter when they wanted to hold the fire. I'm sure they had coal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What kind of home deliveries were made in those days? The mail, did that come to the house?
Oh, yes, the mail came to the house, and groceries could be ordered from the grocery stores, and I think we had most of our groceries delivered. And
they were ordered by phone?
Ordered by phone.
You had a phone?
Yes.
Was that common?
I think it was, though I do remember some of the neighbors coming in to use our phone, but I think they were quite common. And there always was, as all the time I was growing up, there was a small neighborhood grocery store at the corner of North Avenue and Head Street and Main. And I know we often went there for emergency purchases, milk and, no, not milk, but bread. And
not milk because you had the cow.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, in the early days, I'm sure I know my mother made bread, but, well, there were things you had to go to the grocery store.
You told me something about making cottage cheese.
Oh, because they always had a cow. Mother made, the milk was put in the basement in large, round, shallow pans, and then the cream was scooped off the top, and then the milk, when it soured, I'm not sure how the cottage cheese was made, but my mother made particularly good cottage cheese. And on Saturdays, I was allowed to take a basket with a platter in it and probably 8 or 10 small patties of cottage cheese with a dollop of very rich cream on top. I took them down the street, stopped at my regular customers, and had received 5 cents apiece for the cottage cheese patties, and I was allowed to keep the money. And I had to keep track of it, too, how I spent it.
What did you spend it for?
Well, I'm sure there was candy included, but I did have an allowance of 5 cents a week, but out of the allowance and my cottage cheese money, I believe I bought all of my pencils and paper pads for school. We had to buy our books, but by the time I was buying books, I don't believe I had to pay for them myself.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're talking about school, let's talk about what school you went to. You were at the Liberty Street School?
Yes.
Now, the Liberty Street School is the location where we have a middle school now?
Yes.
Okay. And you walked there?
Walked there and walked home for lunch. I think we must have had an hour or possibly more for our lunch.